mother-in-law wanted to prove that I was trash, so she DNA tested my daughter behind our backs. Now she's suffering the consequences. My husband and I have been together for 25 years. We have 3 kids, F8, M15, and F17. My husband and I had a lot of trouble conceiving our daughter. We went through several years with no luck and had seen a fertility doctor who had prescribed some medication to help with ovulation. We couldn't afford IVF, so we were going to try this last thing and then look into adoption. To make a long story short, I was SA'd during a burglary while my husband was out with his brother. It was right when I was to be ovulating. At the hospital, I took EC even though I knew it would undo all the hard work, medication, and mean we wouldn't be able to have a baby of our own. But I couldn't risk getting pregnant with my rapist's baby. Well, after a few months, I've been feeling off, sick, and down. I figured I was just depressed after the SA and I hadn't been eating, but I soon found out I was pregnant. We were so excited until I went to my appointment and found out I was 15 weeks instead of the 5-6 weeks I thought I was. I had been having really irregular spotting bleeding since the EC, so didn't even imagine I was that far along. My husband and I were devastated because that meant there was so much uncertainty surrounding paternity. We had our ultrasound, and as soon as we saw the baby on the screen, I knew I couldn't have an abortion, and my husband didn't want to either. We talked and went back and forth about adoption, and if the baby didn't end up being his or what we would do, and he said he didn't care about paternity, we just wouldn't find out. We decided to wait until our child was older to tell them, and they could decide if they wanted to find out themselves. I will also note at this point my case was unsolved, but had been linked to other SAs and murders at the time. A few years ago, my rapist was caught, and a year ago finally sentenced. At the hearing I spoke, and my daughter and son knew about it, but I didn't go into details. But they knew I was attacked, but only knew it was before they were born. Last Christmas, my mother-in-law bought my daughter and only my daughter a 23rd and me for Christmas. I thought it was extremely weird, but didn't think too much of it. Thinking back, I don't know why I didn't see it for what it was. My daughter was equally confused and asked if I wanted to do it instead. I'm adopted. My daughter brought it to my attention that my mother-in-law has been overly critical of my daughter in the last few months, commenting on her differences, saying things like, "I wonder where those eyes came from, hair, height." She even said to my daughter, "I wonder why you're so skinny." I've never had any reason to believe from looks alone that she is not my husband's daughter. After my daughter brought it to my attention how my mother-in-law was acting, I spoke with her and she said, "Oh, she's just being sensitive." This was a couple of months ago. A couple nights ago, my mother-in-law invited my husband and I out for dinner and told us to leave the kids at home because she had something important to discuss with us. We did. We went to a restaurant, we're eating, and my MIL hands me and my husband 2 separate envelopes. My husband and I both look in the envelope, and they are DNA comparison results. I asked my MIL what it was, and she said, "The proof that you're the garbage I always knew you were." I was baffled. I asked whose DNA she compared, and as I said that I just knew, she said my husband and my daughter. My husband looked at me and he looked so hurt and lost. I'll never get that image out of my head as long as I live. I called her a heartless cunt, and my husband and I left. I blocked her number from mine and my kids' phones, but figured my husband needed to make that decision on his own. My husband told me last night my mother-in-law called him, and he stopped by after work at her house. She told him she's known for a while and suspected for a very long time and that she wasn't sure how to approach the topic with him. My husband asked how she knew that. She said she overheard my BIL talking to his wife and heard our daughter may not be his. My mother-in-law took that to mean that I cheated, so she did a DNA test. Last year, around the hearing, my husband got drunk and ended up mentioning the hearing and some details to my BIL. Apparently that night while sleeping, he said, "I couldn't protect her, and what if she's not mine?" My husband was extremely drunk and did not remember doing this. My mother-in-law does not know that I was SA'd, but she does know there was a break-in and I was attacked. She kept trying to convince my husband to leave me. My husband told her what she did was unforgivable and that he is going to cut her off. My husband is inconsolable. He's so upset, he told his mother to FCK off, and then told her that my attack was an SA, and that's who our daughter's biological father. It still makes me sick to say that. She tried to apologize, but my husband told her he can't forgive her and not to contact any of us. Update. We didn't know how my MIL did the DNA test, so we decided to get another test done. I got the confirmation this morning that my daughter and my husband have 0 biological relationship. I'm so angry and pissed. We always knew this was a possibility, but I didn't think so a second it could happen. She looks so much like her siblings and me. Thank God she has no resemblance to the rapist. I immediately made her start seeing her therapist more regularly, and she seems to be doing rather well despite everything, thankfully.